Welcome back to Investing Talk podcast. Today we're diving into a question that seems to be popping up quite a bit lately. Is Bitfarms a good time to buy now? We've got a fair bit of investment analysis looking at it from both the short and the longer-term view.
Yeah, we've really tried to sift through the reports to pull out the key insights for you.
Exactly. Our mission, as always, is to cut through some of that noise, give you the solid data points, and really help you understand what it all means, not just for Bitfarms, but for the whole crypto mining scene. And hey, before we really jump into the thick of it, if you find these deep dives helpful, we'd really appreciate it if you could subscribe, maybe give us a like, or leave a comment. It genuinely helps us keep this going. And if you're feeling particularly generous, you can even consider buying us a coffee. The link's usually somewhere below. All right, so Bitfarms. To figure out if it's a buy, we probably need to start with the basics, right? How's the company actually doing? Let's get into the fundamentals.
Absolutely, that's always the place to start. And looking at Bitfarms, their revenue growth is, well, pretty impressive, actually. For 2024, revenues landed at $192.88 million.
Okay.
Which is a 31.78% jump from 2023's $146.37 million.
Wow, that's a significant increase, over 30%.
It really is. That kind of top-line momentum tells you they're performing solidly, especially in, the pretty tough crypto mining sector. It's a good sign of operational strength.
Okay, strong revenue growth, that's definitely a plus. But, the big question for investors is often profitability.
Right.
Is that growth actually making its way down to the bottom line? Are they making money?
Well, that's where it gets a bit more nuanced. Right now, no, they're not profitable. They reported a net loss of about $83.96 million on a TTM basis that's trailing 12 months.
84 million loss. Oof.
Yeah, but, and this is important, there's a positive trend. Those losses actually dropped by roughly 50% compared to the year before.
Oh, okay. So losses cut in half.
Pretty much. It suggests they are making real strides towards becoming profitable. Improving, definitely.
Improving profitability is key, I agree. But what about their financial health otherwise? Like debt, cash flow? Are there any sort of red flags hiding there?
That's a good question. The sources we looked at didn't give super detailed breakdowns of debt and cash flow, unfortunately. However, the fact that they have operating losses, well, it strongly suggests they're still burning through cash.
Right.
Which, honestly, isn't that unusual for crypto miners? Building out that infrastructure costs a lot of money up front. It's very capital intensive.
Okay, so cash burn is maybe expected for now. Got it. So they're growing, they're improving profitability, but it's a crowded space, right?
Yeah.
How does Bitfarms stack up against competitors? Do they have some kind of edge?
They do seem to have a couple of advantages. One is geographic diversification. They've got these integrated Bitcoin mining data centers spread across North and South America.
Oh, interesting. Whereabouts?
Canada, the US, Paraguay, and Argentina. So quite a footprint. And the other thing is their integrated model. They handle stuff like hardware hosting, even electrician services in-house.
Vertical integration.
Exactly. That helps them achieve economies of scale, makes them more efficient. It's definitely a differentiator in this really competitive crypto mining world.
Okay, but that paints a clearer picture of the business itself. Let's switch gears a bit and talk about valuation. What are the market numbers telling us? How is Bitfarms valued right now?
Right. Valuation. Well, first off, since they're not profitable, there's no current PE ratio. Price to earnings doesn't really apply here. And no forward PE is available either.
Okay, so no PE. What can we look at?
We can look at the price to sales, or PS ratio, based on their TTM revenue of about $209.4 million and a market cap around $597 million, carry the one. It comes out to roughly 2.85x.
2.85, is it good? Bad, average?
Well, it varies a lot in this industry. Crypto miners often trade at, let's say, discounted PS multiples because the whole sector is just so volatile. A PS of 2.85x is, generally speaking, on the lower side for crypto miners. So it could suggest the market is applying a bit of a discount, maybe due to that volatility or the current lack of profit. Okay,
a lower PS. What about other metrics? Or, what are the analysts thinking about its future value?
Well, we don't have detailed price-to-book figures from these sources, but one number that really jumps out is the beta.
Volatility.
Exactly. It's high, 4.16.
4.16. Okay, explain what that means for our listeners.
Sure. A beta that high means the stock tends to move, on average, more than 4 times as much as the overall market. So if the market goes up 1%, the stock might go up over 4%, and vice versa on the downside.
So definitely not for the faint of heart.
Definitely not. It signals significant volatility, which is, frankly, a crucial piece of information for anyone thinking about investing here. But on the flip side, looking at the valuation outlook from analysts, It's quite bullish. Very bullish,
So
actually.
how bullish?
The average 12-month price target is around $4.83. Compare that to the current price, which is hovering around 103 weeks.
Wait, 483 from 103.
That implies a potential upside of about 351%.
Wow. Okay, that's a huge potential upside. Analysts seem pretty confident then.
It certainly indicates a very strong relative valuation view from analysts. They're mostly using these kinds of relative metrics and targets, as you don't typically see public DCF or discounted cash flow models for companies like this.
That 351% number is definitely an aha moment. But, analyst targets for one thing. How does that square with how the stock has actually been trading recently?
Good point. The current price, like I said, is near $1.03. That's way down from its 52-week high, which was up around $3.15.
Okay, so it's had a major pullback.
A substantial correction, yeah. Which could mean it's in what technicians call a base building phase, basically consolidating, finding its footing, maybe before the next move.
Right, building a base. So if you're looking at the charts, where are the key levels to watch? Support, resistance.
Okay, technically speaking, that $1 level seems to be acting as pretty decent short-term support right now, like a floor.
Okay, a dollar support and resistance. Where's the ceiling?
Resistance looks likely around the $1.50 mark, and then further up towards those prior highs, maybe closer to $3, based on its past price action. And if we look at moving averages, the 50-day SMA is at 96 cents, just below the current price, kind of confirming that near-term support around $1. The 200-day SMA, though, is higher at $1.44. That's often seen as a key longer-term level. It's currently acting as resistance.
So it needs to break above that 144 for a sustained move up.
Exactly. Now, the RSI, the Relative Strength Index, is at 63.89. That suggests moderate strength. It's not in overbought territory yet, so there might still be room to run.
It may be D. Any signals there?
The MEKI-D data wasn't fully detailed in what we saw, but the general sentiment from the indicators seems sort of neutral to maybe slightly bullish, could be hinting at positive momentum building, but it's not a strong signal yet.
We keep coming back to that high beta, the volatility. What do the recent technicals tell us about those price swings? Does it confirm the roller coaster ride?
Oh, absolutely. It just reinforces it. The high beta of 4.16 plus recent volatility measured around 10.29%. Yeah, it confirms you should expect considerable, sometimes rapid price swings. It's just the nature of these mining stocks, especially tied so closely to crypto prices.
Okay, so that's the charts and the numbers. But what's the buzz? What are analysts in the market actually saying about Bitfarms right now? What's the feeling out there?
Well, as we touched on, the analyst sentiment is really strong. We're seeing a strong buy consensus from somewhere between 3 and 8 analysts covering it.
Strong buy. That's pretty clear.
It is. And crucially, there haven't been any recent sell or even hold recommendations. That's quite telling. They seem pretty aligned on the bullish outlook. And those price targets we mentioned, they cluster around $4.83 to maybe $5.11 Canadian, reinforcing that, really significant upside potential they see.
Analysts are clearly bullish. But does the wider market feel the same way? Or is there more caution out there?
The broader market sentiment seems, well, more neutral to cautious, I'd say. There's a fear and greed index for crypto, and it's currently showing fear around 39. That reflects a general sense of risk aversion in the crypto space right now.
Okay, so analysts are hot, market's cool. Interesting divergence. What about insiders? Are they buying or selling?
Yeah, that would be useful info, but unfortunately, the sources we reviewed didn't provide explicit data on recent insider transactions, so can't shed light there today. But one date to mark on your calendar is August 7th, 2025. That's their next scheduled earnings report.
Earnings, always a potential catalyst.
Definitely. Could be a big mover for the stock, depending on what they report and guide for.
Right. Speaking of catalysts, then, besides earnings, what else could potentially move the needle for Bitfarms stock going forward?
Well, that August 7th earnings report is probably the most immediate one. Good numbers or positive guidance could really spark interest. Beyond that, it's heavily tied to the broader crypto market, naturally. So a sustained recovery in Bitcoin's price would be a huge tailwind. Any positive regulatory developments or increased clarity around crypto could also help quite a bit.
Makes sense. Anything company-specific, like expansion?
Potentially. While our sources didn't mention any specific M&A targets right now, the company's geographic spread and that integrated model we talked about, well, they position it well for long-term growth. That could come through organic expansion or maybe even strategic acquisitions down the line. It's certainly a possibility.
Okay, lots of potential upside, strong analyst backing. But every investment has risks. We absolutely have to cover those. What are the key things investors need to be aware of? The potential downsides with Bitfarms.
You're absolutely right. Understanding the risks is critical here, maybe more so than with less volatile stocks. First, you've got the sector risks. Crypto mining is just inherently tied to Bitcoin's price. If Bitcoin tanks, miners like Bitfarms get hit hard, period.
Right, the commodity risk, essentially.
Exactly. And energy costs are another huge factor. Their profitability can swing wildly based on electricity prices. Plus, there's always regulatory risk. New rules could really impact their operations or the whole sector.
Okay, sector risks clear. What about risks specific to Bitfarms itself?
Well, the big one is the current lack of profitability we discussed. They're improving, but they're still losing money. And that high beta, 4.16, it's not just a number. It means high volatility, which translates directly to higher risk for investors.
Uh-huh.
Liquidity could potentially be a concern for very large investors, though the average daily volume seems decent, around 23 million shares. Still something to be aware of.
And broader economic stuff, like interest rates.
Yeah, macroeconomic risks definitely play a role too. Rising interest rates could make borrowing more expensive, inflation could impact costs, and shifts in energy prices globally could hit their bottom line. It all feeds into operational costs and investor sentiment. And then there's a technical risk, or maybe a question. The fact that the price is so far below its 52-week highs, it raises that important question. Is it genuinely undervalued and poised for a rebound, or are these risks we've been talking about just weighing on it heavily, keeping it suppressed?
Yeah.
It could be a sign of persistent concerns.
Okay, wow. We have really unpacked a lot there. Fundamentals, valuation, charts, sentiment risks, catalysts. Let's try and pull it all together now. For you, our listener, what's the kind of distilled takeaway, the overall picture?
All right, let's summarize. Fundamentally, strong revenue growth, which is great. Still unprofitable, but losses are shrinking, which is also good. Valuation, no PE yet. PS ratio is around 2.85x, maybe suggesting a discount. Analysts see massive upside potential, over 350%. Technicals. Stock is near support around $1, quite a bit below resistance. Room to move up, but expect very high volatility. Remember that, beta. Sentiment. Analysts are giving it a strong buy. The broader market, though, is more cautious, maybe a bit fearful. Catalysts. Keep an eye on that August 7th earnings report and, of course, Bitcoin price movements. Risks. High volatility is the big one. Sector risks like crypto prices and energy costs are significant, and the company is still losing money. So putting it all together, if I had to give it a rating, maybe a 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10. Okay,
Yeah.
What's the thinking behind that specific number?
The rationale is Bitfarms has promising growth, a good position in its industry, and really strong analyst backing with huge upside potential mention. That's compelling. But the ongoing losses, that extreme volatility and all the risks tied to the crypto sector itself mean you have to temper that enthusiasm. It holds it back from being, say, an 8 or 9. It's definitely a more speculative investment.
Okay, 7-10. Speculative but promising. What about practical guidance? If someone is considering taking a position, what looks like a decent entry point?
Based on the technicals we discussed, getting in around the current levels seems reasonable. Somewhere near that $1 to $1.10 range. That area is near support, potentially offering a more favorable risk-reward setup, assuming that support holds.
And who should be looking at this? Is this more for a quick trade or someone investing for the long haul?
Good question. I think it could appeal to both, but with different approaches. Short-term traders, sure, they can try to play the volatility, maybe trade around the earnings news, but they absolutely need tight risk management. Stop losses are essential here because of those big swings.
Right.
Long-term investors. They might see Bitfarms as a way to bet on the growth of Bitcoin mining over time, but they need to be comfortable with the significant sector risks and understand that profitability might still be a ways off. It requires patience and a strong stomach for volatility. And just to give some concrete levels for traders, perhaps, a stop loss could maybe be placed around 85 cents just below that recent support area.
Okay, protect the downside.
Exactly. And for taking profits, an initial target might be somewhere around $1.80 to $2. If it gets there, maybe use a trailing stop to let profits run, especially if it starts moving towards those much higher analyst targets.
Okay, let's wrap this up. So the bottom line seems to be Bitfarms is definitely speculative. It's a crypto miner showing improving fundamentals, which is positive. It has that strong analyst support and, on paper, huge potential upside. But that comes packaged with very high volatility and all the risks inherent in the crypto world. It probably suits medium to longer-term investors who believe in the sector's future and can handle those wild price swings. Maybe less suitable for very conservative folks or those purely focused on quick, low-risk trades. So as you think about this, maybe ask yourself, how much do you really believe in the long-term story for Bitcoin and crypto mining? And does your risk tolerance align with a high beta stock like this one? What part of this analysis jumps out to you as the most compelling reason to buy, or maybe the biggest reason to stay away? Lots to consider there. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Bitfarms. Until next time, keep digging.